one of the things we did is we ran an online competition where we did my TMT prediction is, and we had the social media community across all of Canada submit their videos of online prediction. We then had a panel, a jury, a very, very small font. I was on it, my boss was on it, Michel Blanc, who's here today, was on it, Laurent Maisonneuve was on it. Anyway, you can see the list. And we voted for what I thought was our top video. And I think we can now play that video. Yes, is that what? Oh, no, now I hit this slide. The winner is Josh Nursing, who is, I'm assuming, here. Yay, Josh.
Hi everybody, this is Josh Nursing, and the following is going to happen as from next year. My TMT prediction is that as from next year, Google is going to create some massive disruption in the telecommunication industry. We've heard that Google's phone, the Nexus One, built by HTC, contains Android 2.1, has a Snapdragon CPU, is going to be sold directly to consumers, unlocked as from early next year. Acquisitions. In 2007, Google bought Grand Central. They transformed it into Google Voice, which they released earlier this year, with free phone number and voicemail services and voice to text as well. In November, they added Gizmo 5, which is a VoIP service provider, but more importantly, AdMob, which specializes in mobile advertising, and that's really important for Google. Google owns a lot of dark fiber, which is infrastructure for telecom. 95% or more than that of Google's revenues come from targeted advertising, and in fact Google subsidizes many of its free technologies through ads. Google has shown disruptive behavior recently, free turn-by-turn GPS in October, and Chrome operating system, as well as free Wi-Fi in 47 airports in the US in November 2009. All this makes me think that Google is going to massively disrupt the telco industry as from next year.
So fairly obviously, next year, if you want to win this, all you got to do is name check disruption. For folks at Deloitte, we'll vote for you as long as you use our special word. No, Josh, I'm kidding. That was a great presentation. I'm just, because I have a microphone and you don't, I'm going to comment on only one part of it. I think all of it you absolutely nailed. I think your thought about turn by turn, I don't know who here saw the reaction of the Garmin and TomTom stocks the day after Google put out its free turn by turn. They both dropped over 20% that day. And even now they're like, gee, what do we do? You know, it's hard to compete with free. I think Chrome, if you look at the Chrome operating system, it's doing really well. A lot of users are really appreciating that. Obviously, as Deloitte, we might want to allow our online registration system to actually support Chrome next year, Robert. Can we manage that? Good stuff. But the one I'm going to push back on is the Nexus phone. I am not sure about that, and not because it isn't a great idea. It's that I think North American consumers, we are so spoiled. All over Europe, people will buy unlocked phones like they'll go to the store and buy a phone like they beside the bread and the wine. I'm not sure the American consumer is ready for that. We're kind of spoiled that way, and we demand full-turn customer service. We want one phone number to call and support. I think it's a great idea. I'm just not sure if the consumer here is ready for it. But aside from that, I thought great prediction. Now, Q&A, and Josh, if anybody asks about yours, I'm going to insist you scamper up here and we can deal with that. But we have people wandering around with Deloitte microphones, I hope. So let's Michelle? She just Facebook friended me yesterday. It's why it's so easy for me to.
Hi, how are you? I just want to know what is your take on social media? You think it's going to get much bigger? How do you see the rise of Twitter? How do you see those social media impacting like Haiti that we are living right now?
Sorry, what was the last part? Like
Haiti, the earthquake. How do you see social media being able to raise money, awareness, and so on?
Just to start in reverse order, obviously, as we saw in Iran, and as we are now seeing in Haiti, tremendous ability to disseminate news in real time with incredible rapidity. And I think that's a fantastic thing. And when I talk, one of the things that we're doing at Deloitte is we're actually writing a paper for the Government of Canada talking about governments using social media more and more and more. And one of the things that I always talk about is the extraordinary speed of social media. Many technologies introduce a lot of what I would call latency. There's a lot of filters to go through. And the great thing about Twitter is that it is unfiltered. One of the challenges, of course, and you may have heard about this, is there are scammers out there now on Facebook abusing what's going on in Haiti. And so there's that dynamic is going to be a real problem. I'm not sure where the solution for that is. But one of our predictions last year was that social media in the enterprise and in government was going to have a huge 2009. We were right. I think I gave us four little blue dots for that. But it would actually be a 5-dot prediction for 2010. So I think social media is going to continue to be huge for companies and for governments. As for Twitter specifically, the only comment I would have is I worry about the leveling number of users. Facebook didn't do that. Facebook just kept going. When I look at a lot of the social media, when I look at Wikipedia, just as one example, a lot of growth there. Whereas when I look at Twitter, I worry about it stalling out. So I'm unsure of where it fits in the future. So that's the only one of social media that part of the problem is, okay, I'm the technology geek at Deloitte. I hate Twitter. I can't stand it. I won't use it. I actually caused problems for Deloitte last year because I created an account and I wouldn't keep updating it. So I'm biased maybe when it comes to Twitter. But aside from that, I think the other ones are going to have a great 2010. Let's try a question from this side of the room. Aha. Right there in front of you. The man jumping up and down, waving his arms, either wants to ask a question.
Yeah. So about newspaper companies putting up paywalls.
Paywalls are micropayments, yeah.
Yeah, or micropayments. So how do you see them deal with content leaks, various kinds? For example, content that already comes from news agencies that may have other kind of licenses, their writers being on Twitter, being on social media, and aggregation.
Wow, what a great question. Okay, so you've touched on, you haven't even scraped the surface there.
Yeah.
That was actually a pun. You scrape content is what they, anyway, never mind. So it's very challenging. I think what we're going to see, to answer very specifically your question, newspapers, let's say I am the Gazette, and let's say I have licensed a Reuters story. I take the Reuters story and I rerun it. I think I keep it behind the paywall. It is too technically challenging for me, once I've licensed that content, to try to say, okay, here's the stuff that's proprietary and for me, and here's the stuff that I'm going to allow other people to look at for free because they can get it other ways. I think it's just technically too hard. Unless they go micropayments, in which case, yes, when you click on a site, only certain proprietary in-house product would be eligible for micropayments. But I think under the paywall situation, it would be too difficult to try to enforce that. The bigger challenge, as I see it for these newspapers, is how do you put up paywalls and balance the loss of online advertising revenues versus what revenues do you get versus what effect does it have on your print subscribers? Because I didn't get into that. I should have. The main reason people put up paywalls isn't because it's worth $1 billion to them. It isn't. The numbers just aren't there. What they're hoping is that their current subscribers, which are declining by between 3% and 5% a year as people stop buying the print copy and instead go online, they're hoping that number goes from 3 to 5 to maybe 1 to 3. Because, of course, each of those print subscribers is very valuable to a newspaper. So it's more about stopping the attrition at the sub-level. So although your questions are great, I don't think they're the core of the real business issue.